Alrighty, welcome to the internNE powered by Aksarben podcast. I'm Shonna Dorsey, the executive director of the initiative, and I'm here with my co-host,
Justin Krug. Thank you. I'm currently at Workshop, startup here in Omaha, and very involved in the community with these kind of things. So always excited.
We appreciate you being here. Yes. And today our special guest is Savannah High. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, I'm Savannah High with Persevere. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So first, tell us a bit about your background leading up to Persevere, and then also what you're working on today.
Absolutely. So my background, I'm a rural Nebraska gal, grew up in a town of 700, had a high school graduating class of a whole 15, made my way to Lincoln to start school in journalism, which didn't quite work out, but I still loved storytelling. And then I loved some of the media and tech that went along with it. So ended up transferring to UNK and found myself doing multimedia and sociology, just because I've always had a servant's heart, I guess. I was always raised to be a good neighbor and to lift each other up. So I knew I always wanted to go that route. Found myself in Omaha around COVID time and found myself without a job. And ended up at Heartland Workforce Solutions, which is the local American Job Center. If you're not familiar with it, look it up. And I loved being in that space, helping people find purpose in their lives and going to work each day and just helping people. So now I found myself at Persevere.
Awesome. And you want to take this next question?
Well, I was just, give us like the pitch on Persevere for those that maybe haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. So Persevere is new to Nebraska. We just wrapped up our freshman year, but we're not new nationally. We're in 7 states growing. But what we got started on is education. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit, but we are in the tech education space, meaning we go into correctional facilities and teach a full stack web development coding academy, I guess, if you will, for lack of a better term. But not only are we teaching tech skills, but we're also providing a whole wraparound services and support. So we've got family support specialists, case management, and then my role is technology employment specialist, meaning, I provide career readiness development and employment support when they get out.
That is fantastic. So that we know there's such a need for this as employers continue to struggle with finding the talent they need for the jobs that they have to fill. So can you talk to us a bit about what your full stack web development or full stack development program looks like? And then maybe some of I know you said you're in your freshman class, but any of your favorite outcomes so far?
Yes. So the full stack development that we teach, it's foundational from beginners. They do not have to even come knowing how to turn a computer on. We teach everything from the basics.
That's
and then
great.
It's a bit crazy to think about, but it really does work. And we've had students go from, just learning the basics, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and then they get into the MERN stack, front end, back end, data structures, algorithms, stuff that's way past my head. I'm not a tech whiz by any means. I'm just there for support. But then what that looks like, they get those skills, and now how do they apply it? How do they take what they've learned and really ultimately change their lives, change their families' lives through that? So that can look like additional learning. So we partner with some continuing education programs like Justice Through Code at Columbia. We partner with Next Chapter program. And we're really working to get students set up for success where they're at. So maybe they need some additional learning. Maybe an internship's the best way for them. Maybe it's an apprenticeship. Maybe it's college. So it could go several different ways.
Yeah. Okay. And I know I always do the 2-part question, but what's the second was any of your favorite outcomes so far?
Yes. So I'll go back a little bit. A couple years ago, we had a student from our Arizona program. She found herself an internship at, it is called Gusto.
Okay.
Have you heard of Gusto?
Never. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, one of the biggest kind of payroll providers.
Yep.
Yeah, we use Gusto. It's my favorite email of the week because it's, hey, Justin, you're getting paid today.
Nice.
Yep, exactly. An HR platform. So she was able to go through one of our partnering organizations and get an internship through them, and now is hired full time. We had a gentleman who recently got hired as an intern first and now hired full time at Microsoft. Anybody heard of Microsoft?
No, never. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We're super excited. We just found out one of our students, she has worked so hard through our Tennessee program to just change, her life around for her family. And now she's at Princeton University doing their coding internship program.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And you mentioned freshman class here for Nebraska.
So I probably shouldn't have used the word freshman. I just meant we just wrapped up our first year. So our students,
yes,
our students are anywhere from 20 to 45 years old. So they are just at the Nebraska Correctional Center for Women in York, Nebraska.
Gotcha.
So, it's a unique class full of diverse students from lots of different backgrounds, but all found themselves at the same facility.
And about how long does it take to kind of work through, like you said, some of those more like foundational trainings or like academy pieces all the way kind of from start to finish?
So it's a 12-month program.
12-month, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. It's basically like a job. And one of our students from this first cohort who graduated this most recent June, she said, the purpose of getting up every single day and going to work has completely changed who she is. And she's been in for several years. And she said that this has been the most impactful program she's ever been a part of.
And that's pretty intense. Like you said, 1 year, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day is very intense. So it's like you're able to really dig into all of those concepts that, you may not get to if you go to one of the shorter term programs. I'm thinking even the one we ran years ago was a fraction of the time. So that's great to have that time in class. So now this is all very interesting, obviously, but to get to the internship side. So when we chatted, and thanks for being brave to come on to your very first podcast interview. That's awesome. You're doing great.
Crushing it.
What's your experience with interns so far?
So actually I had an internship myself. When I was in college, I had 2 internships that really have impacted me and where I went today. I've actually took one in London years ago, and I wouldn't be here today without the skills I've learned. Now, interns for our students, internships have an immense opportunity for employers to engage with us and provide a short-term chance really on our students. That not just any employer might take. So internships are such a great pathway for employers and then for our students to learn and to be on the job and to understand what it's like to be a technology professional, which, on the inside, they don't get to see that.
Right.
They don't get to job shadow. They don't really get anything besides what we can provide them, which we try our best, but internships have been immensely impactful for many of our students.
Kind of a fun question for me, because I too had a couple internship experiences. We're actually going to interview one of the folks that I interned for later today. But as an intern yourself, reflecting back on that experience, like what would you say was one thing that you didn't really know going into it that you're just like forever grateful for? It changed kind of your career trajectory, if you will.
So both of my internships were with nonprofits. One was a domestic violence shelter and domestic violence prevention. And I would say I had no idea the many hats, I suppose, that a lot of us wear. And that doesn't just go for the nonprofit world. That is in a lot of different industries that, one day you might have the admin hat on, the next day you're hands-on, knee deep in a project. So I think I learned to be adaptable in those roles.
I had a feeling that you would mention that because startups is kind of the same. That's my world, so to speak. And exactly right. That it's amazing how much you have to do. And frankly, sometimes it's like, this is over my head. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but as long as you have the mentality, like I can figure it out.
Yes.
Learning that early on is so impactful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know we're close on time, but final question I have for you. I know that you're working with individuals who are in correctional facilities. So how can we help employers get more comfortable with taking a chance on individuals who need a second chance, especially with the strong demand we have for this type of skill set?
I suppose we could just start by sharing with employers and like drawing awareness that fair chance hiring isn't this crazy, scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
The people that you are hiring are your neighbors. They are someone who just made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some financial incentive, of course, to hiring these individuals. But I would say you're hiring a motivated candidate, someone who wants to stay and be loyal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just having conversations with employers and drawing that awareness that they're people just like you and me.
Yep.
1 out of every 3 people have a record. So
Mm-hmm.
it's common, and they will make amazing candidates.
Right. And they've spent a year, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day working on this. So that is just super impressive. And thanks for the work you're doing. It's really, I'm mixing up very and really. It's really very important.
It is. And they're fighters.
Yeah.
They want to work and they want to prove themselves and their family.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Just
Mm-hmm.
like chip on their shoulder, like driven. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great question to end with.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. And we'll be sure to include info about your organization in the show notes. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Shonna.
Yep.